What's up, everybody? This week we're going to be reviewing American Sniper.
Also, we'll be reviewing Richard Linklater's Before Sunrise.
And we'll be giving our weekly recommendations.
I'm Matt.
Mike.
And I'm Daniel.
This is PopCast. What's up, everybody? Now we're going to be talking about our American Sniper review. And before we do that, here's a clip.
Hold on, I got a woman and a kid 200 yards out, moving towards the convoy. Her arms aren't swinging, she's carrying something. Yeah, she's got a grenade, she's got an RKG Russian grenade. She's saying to the kid.
You say a woman and a kid?
You got eyes on this? Can you confirm?
Negative. Your call.
They fry you if you're wrong.
Mike, what did you think?
I thought this movie was fairly overrated. An average war movie. It had very high intensity action sequences, but a more interesting film would have developed the PTSD storyline a little bit more, and I feel that cut a few action scenes, give a little more development on the domestic struggles of war, and it would have been a much better film.
Yeah, obviously coming into the movie, I already had some preconceptions. Me and you talked a lot about my feelings on some war movies, but I thought the controversy just around the movie in general was overblown after seeing it. I'm kind of similar to Mike in terms of I think it is overrated as a whole in terms of I don't think it should be a Best Picture nomination, but I think it's a solid film. I definitely agree that I think there's a weird misbalance of what the movie's trying to focus on, because it definitely feels like it's trying to craft this narrative about this veteran who's suffering from PTSD, but it puts way too much emphasis on the action scenes at points, and it's not only that it puts too much emphasis on the action scenes, it kind of mismanages it in terms of like what it decides to focus on with the action scenes. Like these action scenes almost feel like they could have come out of a Bourne film. But overall, I think Bradley Cooper is great in the film, and even though I think the movie sometimes struggles from a really simplistic moral code in terms of viewing this issue from a purely good or bad perspective, I think he's so good in the film that he's able to transcend that, and he's able to at least have this sense that this character has this sense of doubt about what he's doing.
Yeah, so I think I'm a little bit less lukewarm on this film than you guys are. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more. I haven't seen it in 3 months, so that also could be a contributing factor to that. But the thing that I found so riveting about this movie was mainly just Bradley Cooper and his performance, his demeanor, his ability to convey a man just doing his job. Yeah. The message of this movie to me was like, there is a job to be done, and this is what you need to do to get that job done and do it well. You need to make decisions right on the spot. You need to not question yourself, because you will just eat yourself up inside. So I think, and there are a couple moments of him kind of questioning really what he's doing, but then you can see him fighting back. Yeah. I can't think about that, because I need to be making these decisions, or some of my fellow soldiers are going to die. Or I'm going to kill an innocent person, but you can't have the time to think about that. I think that is the balance that this film strikes, and I think that is his strongest element. Yeah. I totally agree with the battle sequences. I think they're totally kind of unbalanced. This whole film kind of feels unbalanced. Mm-hmm. But I think Bradley Cooper and kind of the character piece, this is a war film, but inside it is a really, really sweet, warm, caring character piece about this movie.
Yeah, and the movie's most effective when it's just focusing on him and like the toll of it is like of his job. Mm-hmm. I think that's where this movie's most effective, is just seeing him go through the motions. Like, I almost feel this film would be much better if the editing was tighter and just like focus on just like the job and that's it, and like job and cut back straight, to back home and the PTSD.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I understand why people are responding to this film so warmly, because obviously, The Hurt Locker has come out already. But this is really one of the few war films that is about this era, the Iraq War and Afghanistan, that does present it in a somewhat favorable way. And it obviously, and it is affecting kind of, as a tribute to veterans. Like, it does work on that level. Like, the ending did affect me emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a less cynical Iraq War movie than The Hurt Locker or some other movies. Zero Dark 30, thank you. It's less cynical, and through that is why it has such a good reception, is that people are embracing it more than these films, because it speaks to the American culture a little bit more.
Yeah, and to its credit, I think, this isn't Lone Survivor. It's a better film than that in terms of how it portrays this thing. It is favorable, but it's not completely xenophobic and jingoistic like that film.
And also, it's like kind of a love letter to the families that are sending their children out.
Yeah.
They want to feel validated. They want to feel like they're doing it for something good, Because the Iraq war has been so ambiguous. It's kind of been like a faceless war, so...
Yeah, and it's an awful war, and I think even though this movie is pretty favorable towards the depiction of the war, it still gets that across, like, how horrible this war's been in terms of, he has to kill innocent children. He's had to kill he's had to do terrible things.
And Clint Eastwood has said that this is an anti-war film. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Are you sure he said that?
Yeah,
because all the criticism was so pro-war, like, fuck yeah, America, and that is in the liberal media, that is a huge criticism. That's not a good thing.
But that's not the impression I got.
Exactly.
No, but he has said it's an anti-war movie. If you ask me personally, I think the movie's pro-war, especially in terms,
I would too.
Especially just in the sense, like, it never really questions, like, this is terrible and, like, you should try to do something different.
It doesn't question whether a soldier should be doing 4 tours in a war.
Thing.
That is massive. Nobody should be exposed to that. It doesn't question.
Hurt Locker dealt with that as well.
Right. It considers being a sharpshooter a talent, and kind of condones, holding a gun and.
Well, my problem isn't really even that. I think one of the times where I think the movie made a big misstep is that he employs this narrative device of, like, this enemy sniper that he's kind of trying to kill the entire film. And to me, that's just a time where I feel like you don't need to reduce the issue to something this simplistic where it's just like, oh, I'm doing this because there's this clear evil guy that I need to kill.
Well, because they needed a face.
No, yeah.
They needed a face.
It's a fictitious creation for the film. And I think that's...
Based on
it's slightly
thinly true events. But, yeah, so overall, what do we think of this film? Let's give it a grade, and then we'll move on to the...
I give it a C+.
I'm somewhere in that range. I'm B-, C+.
I'm going to give it a B. A solid B. All right, so now we're going to move on to Richard Linklater's Before Sunrise, his 1995 film that came out 20 years ago to the weekend, we might say. Not to the day, but to the weekend. And hope you come back. Okay, now we're going to move on to our Before Sunrise review. Here's a clip.
All right, I have an admittedly insane idea, but if I don't ask you this, it's just gonna haunt me the rest of my life. I have no idea what your situation is, but I feel like we have some kind of connection, right?
Yeah, me too.
Great. So listen, here's the deal. This is what we should do. You should get off the train with me here in Vienna and come check out the town. We just got into Vienna today, and we're looking for something fun to do. Sprechen Sie English?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Could you speak German for a change?
Now I'm gonna call my best friend in Paris, who I'm supposed to have lunch with in 8 hours. Okay?
Okay.
Ring, ring. Pick up the phone.
Hello?
I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it for lunch today, I'm sorry. I met a guy on the train and I got off with him in Vienna. We're still there.
Are you crazy?
Probably. You couldn't possibly know why a night like this is so important to my life right now. But it is. Since we're never gonna see each other again, I don't think we should sleep together.
Let's see each other again.
I don't want you to break our vow. Just so you can get laid.
Just to speak to how powerful this film is, and how if you are a film nerd like we are, this is required reading. Like in other words, it's required reading. And one of the reasons is, so the past couple weeks and like maybe month, like no new film or even old films that I've been watching have really like grabbed me. And I've kind of been distancing myself from film, finding myself spending time in this machine right here, like the Wii U, or playing other video games or reading comic books. But I haven't been really finding any solace in film lately. And then I got up the morning of our radio show on Fridays at 7 o'clock on radio.depaul.edu. So,
Good plug.
yeah, thank you. Very natural.
Smooth.
Yeah, so I got up and watched this film, and I sat there and thought to myself, like, oh yeah, that's why all I think about is film. That's why this is my passion. That's why this is what I want to do with my life. That is the reason.
Yeah, and this movie really is a modern piece of like neo-realist filmmaking, like at a level that's just unparalleled. I mean, it's really up there in terms of, there are obviously completely different films, but even something like The Bicycle Thieves, where you watch that movie and it feels like you're watching, you know, reality happen in front of you.
Yeah.
This is one of the movies I saw it about 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
That I look to why I romanticize just about love and just being romantic. It's one of those movies that I wake up, you know, almost every day thinking,
I'm going to find her.
am I going to have
This is
that
the day.
moment? Like, am I going to have that connection with someone and just walk and talk and...
Off that point, what I think the movie does so well is that it presents you the romanticism and you completely buy into it and you fall in love with it. But I think it contrasts them and it's realistic about who they are, you know. We love these guys, but Ethan Hawke is kind of like this huge narcissist. He's just
Julie Delpy is also just kind of a free, like, kind of a naive free spirit.
Yeah, and they're
kinda
both
get on your
naive in
nerves.
their own ways.
Yeah.
But what I think Linklater does so well, or why he's such a great director, is that he has so much empathy for his characters, and he's able to show you their flaws, but also kind of show them in a way where you understand them, and they feel like friends, and they say like, oh yeah, he's like that, but he's a cool dude.
They're two different puzzle pieces, but they connect together.
Yeah,
and that's
very beautiful, Mike. So going back to what you were saying about you waking up in the morning and you're gonna find that girl, I don't feel like this film sets unrealistic expectations for love.
No, yeah.
Because it's not like Say Anything, where is that the Joan Cusack standing outside the window with the freaking radio,
Boombox.
like the boombox. You know, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like that'll never happen to you. And all these big grandiose romantic comedies, this could happen to you. This just feels like the connection you have with somebody that you're just falling in love with.
Especially living in Chicago, law of averages. We ride the train enough. Eventually, it'll happen to us.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen to us.
It's gonna happen. I mean, I'm obviously gonna find the love of my life.
And right now, when we leave the radio.
Yeah.
Every time I walk in,
She's waiting for me right outside that door. All right, so why do we even need to score this fucking movie? I mean, it's perfect.
It's an A.
We've just gushed over.
It's an
it
A+.
for the last 10
This is
minutes.
one of my favorite
A+.
films of all
Oh
time.
yeah, and it just also reminds me of like Boyhood in the sense that there's this one dialogue scene between the kids in the car and Ethan Hawke driving them. He has this scene where it's just like, let's talk about each other, and then like the son is like,
How was your day?
Yeah,
Come on.
but he's like, why can't we do this naturally? And I think that's just like Richard Linklater in a shell. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do like these stories that we've seen before in terms of rom-com coming of age, but I'm gonna do them naturally.
Yeah, and also, I can't recommend enough more the sequels.
Yeah,
this is the first part in a trilogy. Before
unique
Sunrise,
trilogy.
Sunset, and Before Midnight.
Yeah,
Which
possibly
is-
the greatest trilogy in cinema history.
I mean, it should be
It's
up there.
That's a bold
Yeah.
statement.
It
but
should be up there.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
it's
it's
one
up
of
there.
them.
Yeah. So we'll be right back with our recommendations for the week, and great review, guys. Okay, what's up, everybody? Now we're gonna do our recommendations for the week, what we've been watching in all of pop culture, like books, movies, television, podcasts, YouTube pages, websites, whatever. Dan, you're up first.
Yeah, I've had a pretty good week pop culture wise. I've been checking out Larry Wilmore's new show that replaced the Colbert Report. I think he's doing a really great job considering it's his first week. He's kind of decided to take sort of a panel format, so it's kind of a mix of kind of The Daily Show and like politically incorrect. Like he'll start off with a new segment and then go to a panel. The panel's a little awkward sometimes, but I think he's kind of nailed it down as a host, and I think, you know, with all these kind of talk shows, there's always growing pains.
Yeah, eventually it'll work itself out.
Yeah, and I think to the show's credit right now, like, he's really smart. He's really comfortable as the host. And I mean, in terms of just, like, new satire, he's really sharp.
I mean, this might be an unfair comparison, but it took Johnny Carson like about a decade to get where he was on the Tonight Show.
Even Jimmy Fallon took
Jimmy
some
Fallon,
time.
yeah. All those
Oliver.
hostful shows.
Even Jon Stewart.
Yeah, yeah. They all take a while. It's all chemistry. It's all energy, and you just got to find your footing. I think, and I haven't seen that show yet, but I'm really excited to check it out.
And what I really like about it, he's really putting emphasis on just like real, sincere honesty on the show, and I think that's what comes through, and that's what really makes it stand out, even in comparison with, you know, John Oliver and Jon Stewart show.
Cool. And Mike?
So my recommendation, I just started listening to it yesterday. It's a podcast.
So it's fresh.
It's very fresh.
Hot off the press.
Yes, it's called Reply All. It's from PJ Volt and Alex Goldman, formerly from TLDR. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. And it's pretty much just a podcast about the internet, technology. The very first episode's about that app, that Miranda July app called Somebody, which is sort of a social experiment.
Yeah.
And it's just a really interesting podcast looking at the internet and where it's going, where it's come from, and just an all-encompassing technological podcast.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm so behind podcast-wise. I still haven't listened to Serial.
Oh,
Yeah, you got it.
Serial.
Yeah.
On the Media is a great podcast to listen to.
Oh, yeah, I listen to that occasionally.
NPR Pop Culture Happy
Pop Culture
Hour.
Happy Hour. I can't even name how many podcasts I listen to. It's like I have. So basically, what makes my day every morning is when I refresh my podcast app on my phone, and if there's like 10 there, it makes me just
And you
light
said
up.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
2 days ago, like, yes.
That's why I take the
podcast.
brown line, is because it's the perfect podcast line. By the way, we live in Chicago. The brown line is the slower above ground line. So a little non sequitur, but all right. So my recommendation is a YouTube page and Twitch stream called Kinda Funny. So it's Colin Moriarty, Greg Miller, Nick Scarpino, and Tim Geddes. So these guys, all four of them, worked at IGN, the video game website, movie. It's just a big media conglomerate, and so they had worked there for like 8 years, and I grew up with these guys. I'm on this website every single day, and Greg Miller's kind of the face of it. Colin Moriarty's a really excellent writer. He was an editor for the PlayStation. He was a PlayStation editor there. So they decided to quit their jobs and start this new YouTube page. They had been doing them both, at the same time for about a year, but then they really just wanted to go straight to, like, cut out the middleman, just go straight to the people that they're talking to. Started a Patreon, and I'm funding them now. I give like $2 a month. I mean,
Do you have $2 to give them a month?
For them,
that's a big commitment.
Yeah. So it's like every week they're coming out with new, really, really funny, really cool videos about video games. They do a bunch of Twitch streams where they stream Smash Bros. And there's a bunch of other games. And I mean, I'm just really happy for them. These are guys I grew up with, and I think that it's really inspiring that they quit their jobs. They had steady income and quit their jobs to just do this out of their apartment. And they're making it. I think that's really, really cool.
Is it funny?
It's kind of funny. Oh! Okay, yeah, so those were our recommendations. Do we have anything else, gentlemen?
I saw Dial M for Murder at the Cisco.
Oh,
good
cool.
film.
Sweet.
And it was in 3D actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, they did a
Your
digital. Oh no, actually, it was a good transfer.
Good. Anything else, Mike?
The series Parenthood. I know it's a little cheesy, sappy family drama.
No, apparently it's really good.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard
it
great
ended
things.
on Thursday. I was a bucket of tears. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I recommend it. It's on Netflix.
Awesome. Well, I don't really have anything because I'm boring. So catch us next week. We'll be coming back every single Monday, is it? Are we doing this Monday, or we're filming this on Saturday, by the way?
Just check
Little
every day.
inside baseball for you guys. So we're going to be putting everything up on Sunday. Check us out on radio.depal.edu for our show at 7 o'clock. And follow us on Twitter at PopCastDePaul. Daniel is going to be doing the majority of the tweeting now because I've been dropping the ball on that. And yeah, anything else you want to plug? You want to plug yourselves?
No?
No?
I'm all plugged up.
All right.
Parks and Rec final season.
Okay. And we're done.